'Tis easier for the generous to forgive than for offense to ask it. I know no subject more elevating, more amazing, more ready to the poetical enthusiasm, the philosophical reflection, and the moral sentiment than the works of nature. Where can we meet such variety, such beauty, such magnificence? But who can paint like nature? Can imagination boast, amid its gay creation, hues like hers? Statues and pictures and verse may be grand, but they are not the life for which they stand. For life is but a dream whose shapes return, some frequently, some seldom, some by night and some by day. Health is the vital principle of bliss and exercise of health. Peace is the happy natural state of man. War is corruption and disgrace. More firm and sure the hand of courage strikes when it obeys the watchful eye of caution. Ingratitude is treason to mankind. I think a bishop who doesn't give offense to anyone is probably not a good bishop. Rule Britannia, rule the waves. Britons never will be slaves. The world rolls round forever like a mill. It grinds out death and life and good and ill. It has no purpose, heart or mind or will. That which makes people dissatisfied with their condition is the chimerical idea they form of the happiness of others. I venture to give an alternative method of regarding the processes occurring in the electric field, which I have often found useful and which is, from a mathematical point of view, equivalent to Maxwell's theory. As we conquer peak after peak, we see in front of us regions full of interest and beauty, but we do not see our goal. We do not see the horizon. In the distance tower still higher peaks, which will yield to those who ascend them still wider prospects, and deepen the feeling, the truth of which is emphasized by every advance in science, that great are the works of the Lord. The discovery of electrical waves has had a profound influence on civilization. It has been instrumental in providing the methods which may bring all inhabitants of the world within hearing distance of each other, and has potentialities, social, educational, and political, which we are only beginning to realize. As the cathode rays carry a charge of negative electricity, are deflected by an electrostatic force as if they were negatively electrified, and are acted on by a magnetic force, and just the way in which this force would act on a negatively electrified body moving along the path of these rays, I can see no escape from the conclusion that they are charges of negative electricity carried by particles of matter. The whole mass of any body is just the mass of ether surrounding the body, which is carried along by the Faraday tubes associated with the atoms of the body. In fact, all mass is mass of the ether, all momentum of the ether, and all kinetic energy of the ether. This view, it should be said, requires the density of the ether to be immensely greater than that of any known substance. This example illustrates the differences in the effects which may be produced by research in pure or applied science. A research on the lines of applied science would doubtless have led to improvement and development of the older methods. The research in pure science has given us an entirely new and much more powerful method. In fact, research in applied science leads to reforms. Research in pure science leads to reforms. Research in pure science leads to revolutions, and revolutions, whether political or industrial, are exceedingly profitable things if you are on the winning side. If in the very intense electric field in the neighborhood of the cathode, the molecules of the gas are dissociated and are split up, not into the ordinary chemical atoms, but into these primordial atoms, which we shall for brevity call corpuscles, and if these corpuscles are charged with electricity and projected from the cathode by the electric field, they would behave exactly like the cathode rays. A scientific theory is a tool and not a creed. The electron, may it never be of any use to anybody, an unelectrified atom, so elusive that unless more than a million are present, we have no means sufficiently sensitive to detect them, or, to put it another way, unless we had a better test for man than for an unelectrified molecule, we should be unable to find out that the earth was inhabited. A billion unelectrified atoms may escape our observation, whereas a dozen or so electrified ones are detected without difficulty. Atoms are not indivisible, for negatively electrified particles can be torn from them by the action of electrical forces. From the point of view of the physicist, a theory of matter is a policy rather than a creed. Its object is to connect or coordinate apparently diverse phenomena, and above all to suggest, stimulate, and direct experiment. It ought to furnish a compass which, if followed, will lead the observer further and further into previously unexplored regions. His work was so great that it cannot be compassed in a few words. His death is one of the greatest losses ever to occur to British science. Describing Ernest Rutherford upon his death, at age 66, Thomson, then 80 years old, was once his teacher. I have paid special attention to those properties of the positive rays which seem to throw light on the problems of the structure of molecules and atoms, and the question of chemical combination. I am convinced that as yet we are only at the beginning of the harvest of results which will elucidate the process of chemical combination, and thus bridge over the most serious gap which now exists between physics and chemistry. If the modern conception of the atom is correct, the barrier which separated physics from chemistry has been removed.